Good morning. Hi. Happy Monday. Happy Monday from the farmhouse. I see that I am just missing the morning bit of Mondays with Jen. I don't know if you remember this. If you've been around since I started these little chats with you, originally we called these Monday mornings with Jen. But then what happened was the morning part became fuzzy. Because sometimes I started to talk to you at, for example, 12:15, which maybe isn't considered morning. And I just didn't want to be locked in. Do you know what I'm saying? And so we dropped the word morning, and now it's just Mondays. And so I come when I come. And I'm sorry that I can't be more consistent for you, but I think you know me by now, and that's just how it's going to be. I would like to say to you, happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. What a week, right? And I love that we're starting it with this day of remembrance. I wanted to mention to you, gosh, I wish I would have queued this up for you. One of you guys watching in the comments, if you will, once I mention this, go grab the link and put it in comments. I wanted to talk for just a second before I get to a couple other things about my favorite thing that Martin Luther King ever wrote. And he wrote a lot. I think I have everything he's ever written. They've all been put in anthologies and in compilations, and they're all, at this point, pretty much available on the internet too. And his work was just so, it's just so profound to read. Like I read his work and I'm so moved, I cry, I have goosebumps. My favorite thing that he ever wrote was Letter from a Birmingham Jail. I wonder if one of you might be willing to do the homework that I forgot to grab that link in advance of this video and stick that in the links for us. It's probably one of his lesser known pieces. It didn't maybe get some of the fanfare that some of his other work got, but Letter from a Birmingham Jail takes such clear and direct aim at the white moderate, as he calls it, as he calls the white moderate and the threat to justice that the white moderate is. Not the KKK member, you know, not the overt racist, you know, who we are more apt to lay blame at their feet. But he just, thanks, I already see it. Thank you, Tiffany, for putting that up there. He talks directly to the white moderate. And I think the portion of that writing that has stuck with me for so many years, and I've referenced it a lot of times, and so if you're not new to me, you know I've talked about this before. But I'm definitely paraphrasing right now, just conceptually what he discussed in much more eloquent terms. What an orator, right? Like, what a communicator. He's really, really specially gifted. But he talked about this idea of keeping the peace and how the white moderate often says to Black outrage, to Black dissent, to the Black community ringing the bell and raising the flags and sounding the alarms, that their primary job, and this is the same message that white moderates give to other whites, is to keep the peace, right? That by raising this up to community consciousness, it is in some way disrupting the very peace that you are searching for, right? The very peace that you are asking for, you are disrupting. And Martin Luther King goes on to unpack that idea and explain that the whole concept of peace at the expense of justice is no peace at all. He calls it a negative peace. In other words, if in order to keep the peace, what is required of both communities of color and then other white moderates, if you will, is to turn a blind eye to clear, unambiguous data that shows us what racism and white supremacy looks like currently this day in our culture, if you have a TV set, this is not news to you. We collectively looked at our televisions last week and we saw a noose erected in front of the White House. 2021. So if in order to keep the peace, we are supposed to ignore that very present reality. If that means we are to shut our mouths and shut our eyes and shut our ears to what is plain and obvious in front of us, in order to just simply smooth it over and not then engage in challenging but really important dialogue, conversation, and ultimately reform, all we're doing is preserving a negative peace. And so I think this is, I respond to that so much because people so often tell me that I am disrupting unity, right? That I am stirring the pot. That when it comes to Black Lives Matter, when it comes to the eradication of white supremacy, when it comes to questioning and dismantling unjust systems that keep white people in positions of authority and prosperity and power at the expense of communities of color and other marginalized communities, that I am not being godly. That my highest calling as a Christian is to preserve unity. But I will not be unified with white supremacy. I will not be unified with racism. I will not be unified with injustice, and neither should you. And so I want to give you permission this morning to resist and reject calls from your family members, from your immediate community, from your church leaders, maybe even, to keep the peace at the expense of justice. Because in this short little life we have, in these few minutes we have on earth, it is not so much our calling to be peace keepers as much as to be peacemakers, right? Let's get out there and make some peace. And making peace is hard. Making peace is challenging. Making peace comes with dissent and opposition because it will not come easily. It will not come naturally because it will cost people power and it will cost position and it will challenge systems that benefit part of our culture at the expense of others. So expect opposition, but it does not mean that you are sacrificing peace. It's in fact the opposite. You're being a peacemaker. So if you have, it won't take you that long to read it today. If you have 15 minutes, I would love to give you a homework assignment, which is to read Letter from a Birmingham Jail today. The link is in the comments. I've seen a couple people post it. You can just Google it too. It is profoundly important, and it could have been written today, as relevant as it still is. So that's your homework. All right, moving on. I wanted to talk a little bit about mental health. I'm just trucking right through the soft stuff today. I want to talk a little bit about mental health for obvious reasons. This is super important to me right now. It's super important to my kids. And I keep my finger on the pulse of our community here, and I know that it's super important to us too, and to you. We are in something of a mental health crisis for obvious reasons. And I can't think if there's ever been a time collectively when it's important to prioritize our mental fitness and recovery and healing and forward progress. You know, I see my therapist, Carissa, every week. And which I always love because she gives me nuggets that I get to give to you. And I call that free therapy for you. And so you're welcome. She asked me a question last week as we were sort of steering into 2021 together and evaluating our dynamic, hers and mine. And she said something like this. She said, Jen, I want to ask you a question, and I'm going to take my cues from you in terms of the pacing and the tone that works for you in a therapeutic setting. And she said, do you want me, in general, to be more or less direct with you? And I appreciated the question because I came to her originally real fragile. I mean, like, touch me a little too hard and I would fall onto the ground into a million pieces. Super fragile. And so sometimes our pain is so acute and our trauma is so recent and our healing is nowhere near, it's barely on the tracks, right? That our therapists and our counselors have to deal with this in the most gentle of ways, in gentle terms, in kind of a slow progression. So I appreciated the question, but I let her know, oh no, direct. Like sledgehammer direct. I don't know how you are, but I'm not naturally super self-aware. I'm in general kind of an outward facing person. I'm thinking about you. I'm thinking about my kids. I'm thinking about my work. I'm thinking about communication. I don't actually turn the mirror inside easily or often. And so as a result of that, I'm not very sensitive. Which isn't great. Like, people have, I've said things before that I've hurt people's feelings because it didn't even occur to me that might hurt their feelings. And additionally, I think people have actually tried to hurt my feelings before and it didn't work because I didn't pick up on it because I'm not very sensitive. And I'm like, oh, that's kind of funny. And they're like, no, I'm like, I was trying to hurt you. I'm like, oh, whoops. And so whatever your pace and tone is, whether you are like in the ER where I was a few months ago, I was on the gurney and I needed a very gentle touch. I mean, it's like I was walking around without skin on. So maybe that's where you're at. Maybe you're a little bit further down the path and you are able to handle a little bit more of a robust management, if you will. That's where I am right now. And I let her know, no, come at me hard. Ask me hard things. Push me toward introspection. Ask me things that I really need to consider about who I am and where I'm going, about what I want and what I need, about my impulses, my instincts, my patterns, my coping mechanisms, both good and bad. Yeah, like, come at me, bro. You know, we got an hour. If I need somebody to be gentle with me, I'll go to my mom and that's free, right? So, you know, at $2 a minute, come at me, bro. And so what I want to say to you is I hope that this year you will prioritize your own mental health and that you have all the authority to be in control of what that looks like for you. That if you're in a place where you need a gentle hand, that you come to your therapist or your counselor and you say, this is where we need to start, and I'll let you know when I need you to turn up the volume, when I need you to turn up the pressure. Or you may come and say, I want to go deep and I want to go quick. Like, let's get after it. But I do hope that whatever that looks like for you, you will prioritize this for you. I consider mental health every bit as important as if I had cancer, as physical health. If I am ailing in my body in such a way that it is harming my life, I'm going to the doctor. And so nobody can argue that 2020 has not harmed us emotionally and mentally and spiritually and psychologically. So I'm going to be bringing you some things this whole week on mental health, some options, some ways to make it affordable, some ways to make it convenient. I just care about this for you. Therapy has meant so much to me. I mean, it has pulled me out of the gutter. Pulled me absolutely out of the gutter. Like, it set my feet on a path where I am now asking for more direct counseling, which I didn't know if I'd ever get there. So also, one thing I'm putting in your hands right now, and I hope you're paying attention, our entire first series on the For the Love podcast is called For the Love of Reconnecting, because we just thought, what's the deal right now with us? What is the deal with us? And my team and I just kept saying, gosh, we're just so disconnected in every way. We're physically disconnected from each other because of COVID. We are disconnected from our neighbors and communities because of this just absolutely toxic political climate. We're disconnected from our churches and faith communities right now. We're disconnected from our own bodies. I just can't, we're disconnected relationally. And so we have kind of an extended series, more than we normally do, an incredible, beautiful series called For the Love of Reconnecting. Again, where's my homework? I should have put the link up here. If you haven't started this series with us yet, start with Lori Gottlieb. Lori Gottlieb is the author of Maybe You Should Talk to Someone, and she and I had a profound conversation, and it's up on the pod. But we have stacked this particular series with the best experts, the most incredible leaders and thought leaders and mental health professionals and spiritual guides. I mean, it is absolutely jam-packed with tools and resources for you and I to begin the really important work of reconnecting in 2021. Next, I want to show you a thing that my girlfriends got me. My girlfriends are very deeply caring for my mental health right now. I've talked about them a million times, and they have surrounded me like pod people, honestly, since last summer to ensure that I do not go off the rails. I mean, I'm going to make a list. I'm going to make a list one of these days about everything my girlfriends have done for me and with me and next to me and beside me, to make sure that I am loved and healthy and well. But one of them is that we saw on the internet in December from influencers or like whatever, it was kind of a trend going around for a Christmas present, which was house shoes, fuzzy house shoes that look like Birkenstocks. Did you guys see these? They were like on a bunch of lists, like the coolest list for gift giving. Well, we looked them up because we love house shoes. Like in my girlfriend crew, we are house shoe aficionados, especially now that we never leave our houses. And almost all of us work from home anyway. And so house shoes are, it's part of our uniform. And then we looked them up in the Birkenstock site. They were $180. You've got to be kidding me. $180. Like, excuse me. I don't spend $180 on my nicest shoes that I wear in the outside, in the public spaces, right? You've got to be kidding me. So our friend Megan found a knockoff pair at Walmart, and my girlfriends got themselves and me a pair. I just want you to look at these. Can you see these? Yes, I know they're ugly. Of course I know that. I don't not think they're ugly. Okay? I don't think they're really, really off. I don't think they're like a beautiful offering, but aren't they fun? And they're, look, can you see the side? They're kind of like Birks. Like that's how they are. That's how they are. I've worn them every single day. And this is now what I do. And so I'll find the link and put them up for you to get your knockoff house shoe Birkenstocks from Walmart. They also come in pink. They also come like in, I forgot, maybe black. Okay, I just wanted you to know about that special thing. Okay, last. Oh, first of all, did you see our little podcast? We did a little color aesthetic refresher. Did you see that? It's sophisticated. It's kind of cosmopolitan. It's a little more navy. We did a little refresher, so go look at that too and be really impressed with that. And you know that I had nothing to do with that. You know that I didn't. I don't understand how to do things like that, but my people do. Amanda does. So good job, Amanda. Finally, I've got two big announcements that are coming. One of them I was hoping to be able to tell you today, and turns out I'm not. Wait, let me just check my inbox just in case I got the green light while we were talking. Dang it, I didn't. I have something cool to tell you for later this week. I can't tell you yet. Isn't this so mysterious? I can't tell you yet. Well, I can't, okay? But when I can, I will. And then I have a big announcement next week, which I'll bring to you next Monday. It's just exciting. We've kind of been working on this thing that I'm going to tell you about next Monday. That's it. Okay. After I get off of this, I will do all the work of collecting all the things that I've told you about and make sure that you have links for them. Sorry. Mondays can be hard. That's why I started this at 12:15. Okay. Also, I know that this lipstick is really aggressive for a Monday morning. I understand that. But if you didn't see my last post, I wore a red lip, I think on Saturday. And on Saturday, I wasn't even going anywhere. I'm just at my house. But hard times call for a strong lip. Do you know what I mean? So this is a MAC matte lipstick, and I don't remember the name of it, but I'll find it. And I'm sorry for this aggressive mouth that I've brought to you low this Monday morning. But whatever, man.